Iconic government targets that are exactly what ISIS and its propaganda has been pushing towards people to attack. So we don't know, but there are at least 3 indicators there which suggest that this is not your run-of-the-mill shooting that you might see in many other cities.
And softer targets, obviously, than those that would exist here in the United States, which are better protected. I wanted to bring in Allison Sander, who is with CFRA Radio and who is on the scene near the police barricades there. Allison, please bring us up to date as to what you are seeing.
Well, just a few minutes ago, police ran by us with their guns drawn as they chased what's believed to be one of the suspects towards one of the main shopping malls. Now, we know that earlier in the day, this all started when a man who is described as having long hair and a bandana covering his face took out a long rifle and opened fire on a soldier who was standing guard at our National War Memorial. That soldier remains in hospital right now with a gunshot wound to the chest. Now, the suspect was seen with another person fleeing towards Parliament Hill, which is just a matter of meters away, and it was inside Parliament that the sergeant at arms, who is the man responsible for all of the security in that building, shot the suspect dead. So we know that there is one dead in this situation, and we know that there are other shooters. Now, police, again, treating this very much as an active scene. We have been forced further and further away from where the initial shootings took place. Gunfire has been heard, and police remain here on scene, some of them standing with their guns drawn, others hiding, taking cover behind their police vehicles as they try to not only find the suspect, but ensure that the safety of everybody is, it is top of mind here, because as you can imagine, there is a fairly large crowd interested in seeing what is going on here, and so there's a lot of bystanders, and you're getting police officers saying, please, if you can, stay away from Ottawa's downtown core. They have locked down a number of buildings, including the Parliament. The Prime Minister of Canada was in Parliament at the time. He is safe and was taken away to another location. But there are MPs who were still inside the building, who were told not to tweet, not to call anybody until they got the situation under control. And that was hours ago. So police here, dozens of police vehicles on scene, and we're talking 2 police forces now, because you've got Ottawa Police and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, who are also in charge of this investigation.
And Allison, just to clarify, you said the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, was in Parliament. Was Parliament in session, or was he attending a meeting there? Can you clarify that?
From what I understand, he was attending a meeting, and so that meeting obviously was brought to an end, and he was ushered out of the building to safety. Now, we know he was supposed to have an event in Toronto this afternoon. However, that's likely will be canceled in light of what's been going on here. And as I mentioned before, again, much of downtown Ottawa under lockdown. And we're talking public buildings also evacuated, including the nearby shopping malls. There's also, as far away as the University of Ottawa has been locked down, police stations also in lockdown, because they don't know how far this threat extends.
Allison, this is pretty extraordinary for any city, any capital city in particular, and certainly for Ottawa, because this is normally an area of high tourism, without guns, without a lot of security, or at least visible security, correct?
Well, that's right. You see them all the time. You see the ceremonial guard walking by. You see Mounties. They tend to dress up in their red skirts, for the tourists. And this is a very safe city. And it is known to be a safe city. So something like this is so far out of the ordinary, and that's why you have so many people here who are just trying to figure out what is going on.
Allison Sander, a radio reporter there, thank you so very much. And we wanted to bring you also some eyewitnesses to what happened just within the hour there in Ottawa.
Well, we were working on the statue and heard a bunch of pops. I thought it was just firecrackers going off. So I look across the street and there's a man with a rifle shooting at a bunch of people. So we, I yelled at all my guys. There's guys shooting. So everyone, get down, get down.
I heard the first shot, took a look over. Second shot, then I realized what was going on, and that's why I kind of took cover.
Jim Kavanaugh is a law enforcement analyst and, of course, a former ATF investigator. Jim, when we're talking about weapons and what apparently happened today and the number of shooters they're looking for, what is the challenge now for the RCMP?
Right, Andrea. Well, the challenge is always to locate first the gunmen and then isolate them, and of course evacuate anybody who's nearby, and then eliminate the threat. You know, it's sort of telling that this guy could shoot the soldier and then run across the open ground toward the Parliament building. I've been in that Parliament building, and I've been there right on the steps with the RCMP when I was working for ATF, and I know that area. It's very small, but nobody should be allowed to be running across that open area toward a Parliament with a long gun. And of course, to build on what Michael said, I agree that we don't have a confirmed connection to international terrorism, but the evidence is mounting. The threats on the web, the Canadians, entrance into the war in Iraq and Syria with their fighter jets just a couple of days ago, the running over of the soldier in Canada a couple of days ago, and the eyewitnesses here who have been on MSNBC talking about, what they saw, multiple shooters. And there's some hearsay testimony that was on the hour before that they had it all in black and maybe a scarf on their face with Arabic writing. So it's mounting indicator that it is an organized small terrorist operation. It's not confirmed for sure. But madmen don't operate normally, although I could cite you a few cases, but madmen don't operate normally with partners, 2 or 3. Hey, let's go down and kill everyone at the Parliament. Normally, that's an organized criminal cell, anti-government operation, and in this case, likely internationally terrorist-inspired.
And Jim and Michael Leiter is also with me here. I want to ask both of you about Richard Esposito's reporting that there are officials going to military recruitment centers in Los Angeles, for instance, to perhaps increase security or talk to people there. Tell me what you think is the connection with military recruitment as a potential target, Michael?
Well, I think ISIS has made quite clear, target foreign militaries, the U.S. military. So that's piece one. Piece two is we have a history where this has actually happened. 2009, Carlos Bledsoe shot and killed 2 Army recruiters in Little Rock, Arkansas. He killed 1, shot a second. Bledsoe had trained with Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula in Yemen, come back to the United States, was ultimately convicted and sentenced to life in prison. So again, targeting recruiting centers. You then have this last piece of the Canadian military officers struck by the car in outside Montreal on Monday. So it's a really obvious thing, and it's a good thing for both the FBI and for state and local officials to do. Make sure that military officials who are recruiting across this country understand that by the nature of their uniform, they might well be an easy target or an attractive target to people who are radicalized by ISIS or Al-Qaeda's message.
And our own colleague Kristen Welker is reporting from the White House that at this point there is no change in the security level here in the U.S. It's too early to know what the motivation could be for this incident, but U.S. officials are, of course, in close contact with Canadian partners, continuing to monitor the facts as they come up. Jim Kavanaugh, in terms of the threats from ISIS against the U.S., Canada, and other coalition partners, this is an obvious attempt to punish and to deter and frighten others from joining the coalition.
Exactly, Andrew, you're exactly right. We're in a low-grade world war. It's not a world war like we knew in history, but it's a low-grade guerrilla world war, and we're in the midst of it, and we sort of want to deny it's happening, but it's happening all the time. And I would say that it's smart money to go to recruiting centers and for force protection in military bases and government buildings to be a little more alert right now, because you got to stay ahead of these guys. You can't wait till the action happens. You got to be a step ahead. And warnings, they're sometimes subtle. This is not subtle for Canada. So, we should take heed. That's smart money to send police officers to recruitment centers, force protection in military bases, more people on duty at government buildings. I always want to be ahead, so I like to move a little earlier than some, maybe.
And we've got more eyewitness reports. Let's watch.
Just 5-10 minutes ago, I was walking along the front of the memorial. I was just passing just over here, and also I just heard a shot, turned around, and there was a guy with a rifle just around on the back corner, and just pow, pow. And then I saw one of the other armed forces guys just running, and he came running. He barreled over, just ran right over. The other guy just dropped, and then the other one just ran over. I just started running at that, enough to look back to just dive underneath, and then immediately called 911.
The man who shot, what did he look like, and what kind of weapon did he have?
It was a rifle, like a long-barreled rifle, long. I mean, again, I don't know what I'm supposed to say, what I'm not supposed to say, or if it...
Was this man dressed in uniform? Was he dressed in civvies?
Oh, he was dressed in civilian clothes with a hoodie and and a bandana up to his. I saw a bandana and.
Is there anything like you could tell us about the color of anything he was wearing, or?
There's actually a guy here that has a perfect picture of him. One of the bystanders. Holding the rifle and everything, so it shows a perfect description.
And Mark Lukasiewicz, you're from Ottawa, our senior vice president in New York. We can look at these pictures now, and Allison Sander, the radio reporter, was describing how malls are being emptied. They are really widening the search area.
Absolutely. The picture you're looking at on the left is taken from the south, looking up towards Parliament Hill, and that appears to be the West Block. You can see the police moving across. So this is taken from a vantage point of 3 or 4 blocks south of the Parliament buildings. The CFRA reporter mentioned that the University of Ottawa is in lockdown. That's looking at the right side map. That's off the map to your right. So clearly this is expanding. If you look at that oval-shaped park sort of at the center of the picture, the American Embassy is the building immediately to the right of that long, narrow building. That is the United States Embassy. So you can see that this perimeter is expanding. Clearly the authorities are worried that they haven't put an end to this yet, or they're not sure they've got everyone who is involved, and they're concerned about that.
And as you can see, they're talking to witnesses, and some witnesses clearly have pictures and have other video evidence as well. But what we're talking about from these 2 descriptions that we've heard from eyewitnesses are someone with a long rifle, a long gun, and a bandana over his face. This gentleman described a hoodie. Michael Leiter, we're not talking about anything identifiable in any fashion as a uniform or an insignia, but this does appear to be coordinated.
It appears to be, but and Jim Kavanaugh will recognize this too. There is almost nothing worse than eyewitness testimony in some of these situations, and that's why lots of this video, lots of the photographs, that will be key, because that will tell a very clear story. So even the multiple shooter piece, which was told to us by Ottawa police, even that can be confused. You'll remember in the Navy Yard shooting not so long ago, reports of multiple shooters turned out to be just one. People get confused, they see officers. So right now what we know is sounds like he was dressed in civilian clothes with a bandana. That seems pretty consistent, but go into much depth about exactly what they were wearing, I think it's a really risky endeavor.
And Jim Kavanaugh, talk to us for a moment about guns in Canada, the gun laws and the availability of rifles. Obviously, hunting would be a very big activity in Canada, as it is in the United States.
Right. Well, that's right, but Canada has more strict gun laws than the United States, especially, with their handguns, and there's a lot of hunting and rifle shooting, certainly, but the gun laws are more strict there than they are in the United States. We're more of an open system with our firearms, so they have more controls. But nevertheless, guns are available. Clearly, long guns are available everywhere, and they've had some horrible incidents. With police officers shot in the recent months, just killed by gunmen with assault weapons and so forth. So they have crime problems, not the problems we have, because the population is so different. We have 300+ million people, and they might have 18 or 20 million people. So it's a different society from the size and the volume and the tradition of their laws. But there's so many similarities, too. With the United States, and they're such great allies to us. So this is heartbreaking for us to watch them to have to endure this, but they're going to have to. It's a new day now in Canada with security at the Parliament and all their government buildings. You know, they are in the low-grade war with us. I mean, they are there. They've been with us through Afghanistan as well, so they know. But they've got to change now. This is not, you can't escape these attacks. And if this turns out to be, I know we don't have the final word and it's not totally confirmed, but if it turns